Hi, I'm Aiden. 6 months ago, I thought I had everything figured out. Steady job as a software engineer, a nice house in the suburbs, and what I believed was a solid 8-year marriage to Vanessa. That was before the "we need to talk" conversation that blindsided me one Thursday evening. "I just don't think we want the same things anymore," Vanessa said, twirling her wedding ring. "I've been feeling this way for months." Months? And you're just telling me now? I set down my fork, dinner forgotten. "What happened to working through problems together?" She shrugged, her eyes not meeting mine. "Sometimes people grow apart. It happens." "People don't just grow apart overnight. What's really going on, Vanessa?" "Nothing's going on. I just need space to figure out what I want." That conversation replayed in my head as I sat across from my best friend Derek at our regular bar 3 weeks later. "She didn't give you any real reason?" Derek asked, sliding a beer toward me. "Nope. After 8 years, all I got was we want different things. Then boom, divorce papers." I took a long sip. The weird thing is how rushed it all was. She wanted everything finalized ASAP. Derek frowned. "That doesn't sound like Vanessa. She usually overthinks everything." "Tell me about it." "And get this, she didn't even fight for the house. Just wanted her name off everything and a quick split of our savings." "Man, that's suspicious," Derek leaned forward. "Remember when Marcus got divorced? His ex dragged it out for years trying to get everything." "Yeah, well, I guess I should be grateful it was clean." I sighed. "Anyway, it's done now." 2 months after the divorce finalized, I got a call that changed everything. "Mr. Reeves? This is Patricia Chambers from Finch & Associates law firm. I'm calling about your Uncle Robert's estate." "Uncle Robert? I haven't seen him since I was a teenager." "Well, he named you as his sole beneficiary. Would you be available to come to our office tomorrow to discuss the details?" The next day, Patricia, a stern-looking woman with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses, slid a document across her desk. "Your uncle amassed quite a fortune through his real estate investments," she explained. "The total value of the estate comes to approximately $15 million. My jaw dropped. $15 million? That can't be right. "I assure you it is. He left everything to you. Properties, investments, cash assets. All of it. But why me? We weren't even close." Patricia smiled slightly. "According to his letter, he always appreciated how you were the only family member who never asked him for money. He said you reminded him of himself." As I walked out of the lawyer's office, still in shock, my phone buzzed with a text from a number I didn't recognize. "Aiden, it's Vanessa. Heard about your uncle. We should talk. Dinner tomorrow?" I stared at the message, pieces suddenly clicking into place. How did she already know? "So she texted you right after you found out about the money?" Derek paced across my living room. "That's not a coincidence, man." "I know, but how would she even know about Uncle Robert?" Derek stopped pacing. "Remember her friend Mia works at that big law firm downtown? The one that handles a lot of estate stuff?" I nodded slowly. "You think Mia told her?" "It's worth looking into. $15 million is a pretty good motive to suddenly want to reconnect." I called Mia the next morning, putting on my friendliest voice. "Hey Mia, it's Aiden. Long time no talk." "Aiden, this is unexpected." Her voice sounded nervous. "How are you doing after everything?" "That's actually why I'm calling. Did you happen to mention anything to Vanessa about my uncle's inheritance?" A long pause. I shouldn't have. It was a breach of confidentiality, but she asked me to keep an eye out for any significant estates. When your name came across my desk." "She asked you to what?" My grip tightened on the phone. "She said it was for closure purposes. I'm so sorry, Aiden." I decided to dig deeper and called Sophie, Vanessa's former assistant who had quit abruptly last year. She agreed to meet at a cafe near her new workplace. "I've been wanting to talk to you for months," Sophie said, nervously glancing around as if expecting Vanessa to appear. "I quit because of what I overheard." "What did you hear?" "Vanessa on the phone with someone. I think it was her financial advisor. She was talking about positioning assets and timing the split to maximize returns." Sophie leaned forward. "She specifically mentioned your uncle and an inheritance. When was this?" "About 10 months ago. I remember because it was right after your anniversary dinner, the one she canceled last minute due to work. So she was planning the divorce almost a year in advance while pretending everything was fine." Sophie nodded. "There's more. She had me research divorce attorneys who specialize in hidden assets. She made me use my personal email for all of it." "Do you still have those emails?" "I saved everything. I knew something wasn't right. Next, I contacted my lawyer, Sarah Chen. a sharp-witted attorney who had helped with my divorce. Let me get this straight, Sarah said, leaning back in her chair. Your ex-wife rushed through your divorce, didn't fight for assets, and now suddenly wants to talk after you inherit millions? Exactly. And she somehow knew about it immediately. Sarah's eyes narrowed. That timing suggests she might have known about the inheritance before filing for divorce. If she divorced you, thinking she could still claim part of an inheritance without having to split her future earnings with you, can she actually get any of the money? Normally, no. Inheritances received after divorce aren't marital property. But if she can prove you knew about it before the divorce and concealed that information. But I didn't know. We'll need to prove that. Sarah tapped her pen thoughtfully. Did anyone else know about your uncle's plan to leave you his estate? That's how I ended up at my Aunt Elaine's house, Uncle Robert's sister in the family gossip hub. Of course I knew Robert was leaving everything to you, Aunt Elaine said, pouring tea. He told everyone at Christmas 3 years ago. Everyone, including Vanessa? Oh yes, dear, she was quite interested. Asked him all sorts of questions about his investments. Why do you ask? Back in my car, I called Derek. She knew, man. She's known for years. What are you going to do about dinner with her tonight? I'm going to find out exactly what she's planning. The call was interrupted by another from an unknown number. Aiden, it's Tyler, Vanessa's brother. Tyler? We haven't talked since the divorce, I know. Look, I think you should know what Vanessa's been saying. She's telling everyone you hid money during the divorce. She's planning something, man. I chose a busy restaurant for my meeting with Vanessa. Witnesses seemed prudent. She arrived looking exactly as she had during our marriage. Perfectly styled hair, designer outfit, practiced smile. Aiden, she leaned in for a hug I didn't return. You look good. Let's skip the small talk, Vanessa. Why did you want to meet? She settled into her chair, smile faltering slightly. I've been doing a lot of thinking since we split. Maybe we rushed things. Really? Because you seemed pretty certain when you served me papers. People make mistakes. She reached for my hand across the table. I pulled back. Like the mistake of divorcing me before my uncle's inheritance came through? Her expression froze. I don't know what you're talking about. I talked to Mia and Aunt Elaine and your brother. Tyler called you? Her mask slipped, revealing anger. That little... Careful. We're in public, I reminded her. She composed herself quickly. Look, I admit I knew about your uncle, but that's not why I wanted to meet. No? Then why did you have Mia tracking the estate? I was just curious. Is that a crime? No, but fraud is. You're planning to claim I hid assets during our divorce, aren't you? She lowered her voice. You should have disclosed the inheritance during the proceedings. I couldn't disclose something I didn't know about. No one will believe that. Her tone turned sympathetic, which I recognized as her negotiation voice. But we could avoid all that unpleasantness. We were married for 8 years, Aiden. I supported your career. Don't I deserve something? You got exactly what you deserved in the divorce you wanted. Be reasonable. I'm offering a simple solution. We settle privately, say $5 million, and avoid a messy court battle. I laughed. That's not a settlement. That's extortion. Fine, play it that way. Her voice hardened. I've already talked to a lawyer. He says I have a strong case for concealment of assets. Based on what evidence? I have texts, emails, evidence that you discussed the inheritance with your uncle. Those would be interesting to see, considering they don't exist. Her eyes darted around. Maybe not yet. I stood up. Are you threatening to fabricate evidence? Sit down, you're making a scene, she hissed. Sarah, who had been sitting at the bar watching the whole exchange, approached our table. Mr. Reeves, is everything all right? Who's this? Vanessa demanded. My lawyer, I replied. Who just heard you threaten to falsify evidence for a fraudulent lawsuit? Vanessa's face contorted with rage. You set me up? You recorded this? That's illegal? Actually, Sarah interjected smoothly, New York is a one-party consent state for recordings, and I'm a witness to this conversation. This isn't over, Vanessa snarled, grabbing her purse. You'll regret this. As she stormed out, she knocked over a waiter's tray, causing a crash that drew every eye in the restaurant. She actually filed the lawsuit, Sarah said, dropping the documents on my kitchen table. Claims you hid the inheritance during divorce proceedings and that she's entitled to half. Derek whistled. That takes nerve. It's a nuisance suit, Sarah explained. But we need to respond carefully. Her lawyer's asking for financial records going back 10 years. Let them look, I shrugged. There's nothing to find. There's more, Sarah continued. Tyler called. Vanessa asked him to sign an affidavit saying you discussed the inheritance before the divorce. What did he say? He refused. In fact, he's willing to testify that she told him about her plan to divorce you quickly before any inheritance came through. The following day, I met with Patricia Chambers again to discuss Uncle Robert's records. Your uncle was quite meticulous, Patricia said, opening a thick folder. He kept detailed notes of all family interactions, including when he discussed his will. That sounds like Uncle Robert, I smiled fondly. He documented everything. Indeed, I found his notes from the Christmas gathering 3 years ago. She slid a paper across the desk. He specifically mentions telling family members about his estate plans and, she pointed to a highlighted section. He notes Vanessa's unusual interest and her comment that Aiden doesn't need to worry about these details right now. She actively prevented him from telling me? Patricia nodded. There's more. He had concerns about Vanessa. In his final amendment to the will dated 6 months ago, he included this letter. She handed me an envelope. He instructed that it only be opened if there was any contest to the will. Inside was a handwritten note. Aiden, if you're reading this, someone, likely Vanessa, is contesting my bequest to you. During our last conversation, she called to check on me and asked pointed questions about my health and estate plans. When I mentioned leaving everything to you, she seemed disturbed and suggested I consider more equitable distribution among family. I've always been a good judge of character, and something felt wrong. This is why I've documented everything meticulously. Trust Patricia. She has all the evidence you'll need. Your uncle, Robert. This is incredible, I whispered. Robert suspected something wasn't right. He even recorded their phone call. 3 weeks later, we sat in a conference room for depositions. Vanessa arrived with her lawyer, a slick-looking man in an expensive suit. Miss Sanders, Sarah began, addressing Vanessa. You claim my client concealed knowledge of his inheritance during your divorce proceedings. What evidence supports this claim? We discussed his uncle's estate many times, Vanessa stated confidently. Aiden told me his uncle planned to leave him everything. Can you provide dates of these conversations? I don't remember exact dates. Any witnesses to these conversations? They were private, between husband and wife. I see. And did you disclose your knowledge of this potential inheritance during your divorce proceedings? Vanessa shifted uncomfortably. I didn't think it was relevant. So, you knew about this inheritance potential but didn't mention it during the divorce you initiated? Objection, her lawyer interrupted. Badgering. Sarah smiled. Let me rephrase. We have a witness who will testify that you explicitly stated your intention to divorce Mr. Reeves quickly before any inheritance materialized, specifically to avoid sharing your future earnings while still positioning yourself to claim part of his inheritance. Care to respond? The color drained from Vanessa's face. Who would say such a thing? Your brother, Tyler. We also have testimony from Mia Jackson about your instructions to monitor estate filings. Those are misunderstandings, Vanessa insisted, her voice rising. Tyler misheard me. And Sophie Carter? Did she misunderstand the divorce attorney research you had her conduct? Or the recorded conversation with the financial advisor about timing the split? Vanessa's lawyer looked at her sharply. What recorded conversation? And what about this? Sarah continued, sliding Uncle Robert's letter across the table. Your conversation with Robert Reeves where you attempted to persuade him to change his will? That's not, Vanessa stammered. We also have the recorded phone call, Sarah added. Would you like to hear it now or during trial? Vanessa's lawyer requested a break. When they returned, his demeanor had changed completely. My client would like to dismiss the case, he stated flatly. We'll agree to dismissal with prejudice, Sarah replied, with a written admission of fraudulent intent and full coverage of all legal fees. That's ridiculous, Vanessa interjected. I'm not admitting to anything. Her lawyer turned to her. Miss Sanders, I strongly advise accepting these terms. The alternative is potential criminal charges for attempted fraud, subornation of perjury, and evidence tampering. 2 weeks later, I watched Vanessa sign the settlement agreement, her hands shaking with suppressed fury. I hope it was worth it, I said quietly as she stood to leave. She paused. You know, I actually did love you once. Maybe, but you loved money more. You could have shared it, she said bitterly. $5 million would have meant nothing to you. It wasn't about the money, Vanessa. It was about the betrayal. 6 months later, I sat on my new porch overlooking the ocean, sharing beers with Derek and Tyler. Still can't believe she tried that, Tyler said, shaking his head. The family's mortified. How's the restraining order working out? Derek asked. So far, so good. After she showed up at my office making threats, the judge didn't hesitate. And the countersuit? I nodded. Her lawyer advised her to settle. The fraud attempt cost her plenty. Any regrets? Tyler asked hesitantly. About standing my ground? None. About marrying her in the first place? That's a different story. To lessons learned, Derek raised his bottle. And to Uncle Robert, I added, who somehow saw through Vanessa years before I did. As the sun set over the water, I realized the money wasn't the most valuable thing I'd gained. It was the clarity to see people for who they truly were, and the wisdom to keep the right ones close. What would you do if someone from your past suddenly reappeared after you came into money? Like and comment with your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe for more true stories of justice served.